Looking down at West Wycombe Hill in Buckinghamshire, the landscape is defined by St. Lawrence's Church commanding the highest peak. But 300 feet directly beneath this Christian altar, buried deep in the Upper Cretaceous chalk, lies a hidden pagan sanctum. The ecclesiastical surface design is itself eccentric. Atop the church tower sits a massive, hollow golden ball, large enough to hold several people, offering a sense of the sheer physical scale of the estate's construction. Between 1748 and 1750, 3 consecutive harsh winters and severe droughts brought catastrophic crop failure to the Chilterns. Local farm laborers faced starvation. In response, Sir Francis Dashwood, a prominent landowner and future Chancellor of the Exchequer, implemented a public works relief scheme. He paid local men 1 shilling a day, a substantial, life-saving wage, to mine chalk for a brand-new Oxford to London turnpike road. Public accounts praised Dashwood for his philanthropy. By heavily publicizing this civic charity, he established an unquestionable cover. No one asked why so many thousands of tons of earth were being moved, or where exactly the miners were digging. The physical layout of the tunnels reveals the true nature of the project. While the public contract called for raw chalk extraction, Dashwood privately directed the miners to follow intricate, geometric, and occult architectural blueprints that served no purpose for road building. The labor to execute this design was punishing. Workers spent their days in near-total darkness, striking the dense white chalk and dark flint with hand-hewn pickaxes and chisels, guided only by the flickering light of tallow candles. This exhaustive manual labor yielded a massive subterranean labyrinth. The excavated passages penetrate over 400 meters, a quarter of a mile, horizontally into the solid hillside. Dashwood used the resulting road to satisfy the public. While deep underground, he secured a sanctuary entirely insulated from parliamentary oversight and the eyes of the law. The physical transition into this hidden world begins at a mock ecclesiastical Gothic courtyard, built from dark knapped flint. Here, at the hillside's threshold, initiates were carefully vetted and cloaked before they were allowed to descend into the damp chalk passages. The men who occupied this space called themselves the Order of the Friars of St Francis of Wycombe. They were the political elite of Georgian England, including figures as powerful as John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich and First Lord of the Admiralty. Deep inside the complex lies the Grand Banqueting Hall. Carved 100 feet below the surface, this massive, 40-foot diameter circular chamber served as the staging ground for the club's underground banquets and mock religious ceremonies. Aristocrats dressed in mock Franciscan friars' robes of crimson and white silk parodied Catholic liturgy. They drank libations to pagan deities from skull-shaped vessels, strictly adhering to the motto carved above the entranceway, Fais ce que tu voudras, do what thou wilt. For men holding the highest offices of church and state, these blasphemous parodies were acts of social and political suicide if ever exposed. By participating together, each member effectively placed his reputation in the hands of his peers, creating a brotherhood bound by the practical threat of shared ruin. To reach the deepest level of the caves, the Brotherhood had to cross a physical and psychological barrier. A natural subterranean aquifer crosses the path. It was intentionally named the River Styx, traversed only by a small wooden ferryboat, mimicking the descent into the Greek underworld. Beyond the water lies the terminal chamber, the inner temple. This innermost circular sanctuary features carved stone niches and occult symbols, buried at a maximum vertical depth of 300 feet beneath the earth. This chart of the hill's cross-section reveals a deliberate architectural alignment. A perfectly vertical axis connects the hollow golden ball of St. Lawrence's Church at the summit directly to the pagan altar of the inner temple below. The inner temple's isolation also made it a venue for high-stakes statecraft. Between 1772 and 1773, Benjamin Franklin stayed at the West Wycombe estate for extensive periods, serving as a colonial agent in London and an intimate friend of Sir Francis Dashwood. The absolute privacy of the inner temple offered a stage for Franklin to engage in covert, back-channel negotiations with British peers. It was a desperate attempt to use the club's secrecy to avert the impending American War of Independence. A decade earlier, the unity of the Brotherhood had violently fractured. By 1762, bitter factional warfare erupted in Parliament between John Wilkes, a radical reformer, and Lord Sandwich, a government hardliner. Despite their public animosity, both men attended a high-level ceremony inside the claustrophobic confines of the Inner Temple. The simmering political tension finally breached the sanctuary's rules of mutual protection. Wilkes devised a highly calculated disruption. He smuggled a live baboon, dressed entirely in a devil costume, into a chest near the altar. Mid-ritual, Wilkes triggered a hidden tripwire, releasing the screaming animal directly at Lord Sandwich. The animal leapt onto Sandwich's shoulders in the dim candlelight. Sandwich, entirely consumed by the club's theatrical occultism, genuinely believed the devil had arrived to claim his soul. The prank humiliated the First Lord of the Admiralty and instantly dissolved a trust that held the political elite together. Sandwich immediately retaliated. He obtained a copy of Wilkes's highly obscene, privately printed poem, An Essay on Woman, and read it aloud on the floor of the House of Lords. The reading sparked a nationwide political firestorm. For the first time, the press exposed the inner workings and identities of the Subterranean Brotherhood. Deeply disgraced, Dashwood removed the luxurious furnishings and permanently sealed the Inner Temple in the late 1760s. The passages sat dormant for nearly 2 centuries. During the Second World War, the Ministry of Home Security surveyed the deep chalk labyrinth as an auxiliary air raid shelter and bomb-proof munitions depot. Finally, in 1951, the 11th Baronet Dashwood reconditioned and rewired the complex. Today, the West Wycombe Caves remain a physical manifestation of elite duality, a literal descent into darkness, engineered to keep the private vices of the powerful safely walled off from the public they ruled.